Congressman, 2nd District Republican, Scott Rigell. Congressman, good to have you with us.
Hey, John. Good to be back, as always.
Hey, have to start. We've got an election coming up in 8 days, state election, not federal. I know that one of your good friends, Senator Frank Wagner, is in a tough re-election campaign battle.
Yeah.
What do you have to say about Wagner?
Well, listen, I'm confident that he's going to prevail, and he should. He's a leader. John, I've known him for a long time, and look, you look first at his military service, his commitment to our community, but he is a results-oriented guy. Let me give you a quick example.
Go ahead.
Like on offshore energy, I'm really pushing that, as you know, to diversify our economy, and I've traveled to Louisiana, various places, and up here in Washington when I talk to people. He's got a reputation. I mean, down in Louisiana, they're going, now, do you know Senator Wagner? I said, you got to be kidding me! All the way down here, he's known as not a policy wonk, but a guy that really reads the bills and cares and knows what he's talking about when he gets up to speak. So, I've got a lot of good friends that are running. I could spend as much time as you'd like bragging on all these good folks, but I'll tell you what, Frank is in a more challenging race, and I would encourage everyone listening to go out and stand with not only me, but my wife Terry and me, and casting a confident vote for Frank Wagner.
Well, Frank Wagner's really done a good job, and we might not agree with him on everything, but he's always got his facts straight. He's a hard worker, and I think he stands up for Southeast Virginia and for his district in a way that no one else has.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's all true.
And, at the end of the day, that's what you're looking for, somebody that stands up for what they believe is right, and we'll take it from there. I believe that Frank Wagner absolutely deserves to be reelected to the state Senate. I would encourage everybody on November 3rd, get out there and participate. And if you're in the 7th District, vote for Frank Wagner. Congressman Rigell, we got a lot to talk about in the time that we have. Let's start with let's start with President Obama vetoing the defense authorization bill. Any chance that this can get overridden? And if not, what happens?
Well, the chance is slim. You're going to get all Republican support, and we'll pick up some Democrats. There is a degree of uncertainty as to whether we'll have enough. Wow, this is so disappointing. Look, I don't like the mechanism by which we got that legislation to the president's desk. I mean, bumping up the contingency part of that. It wasn't the type of budgeting that I'd want to do, but under no circumstances does this rise to a level meriting a veto. I see it when I really look at it, frankly, I see it as unconscionable because above all else, we need to put the defense of our country first. It is not a partisan matter. It shouldn't be. Mm-hmm. And look, there are other places to fight that battle. But it was I heard. I'm not on House Armed Services anymore, but of course I followed it very closely. Did what I could to get things that we thought were important in there. But our delegation did a great job. Rob Whitman, Randy Forbes, and others. And so here we are. We gave a great bipartisan bill to the president, and he vetoed it. It's not good, John. I can't wait for this administration to just fade in the rearview mirror. It's going to be quite a rough legacy left, but we'll get there at some point.
I mean, another 15 months, unbelievable. So what happens, all right? So he's going to veto it. It comes back, and then he's looking for something else. Do you then get with the Democrats, get in committee, and trying to work out Plan B?
That's right. Look, there is a lot of bipartisan support to get that particular bill back over there, and actually in a way that he can't do anything about it. I mean, we just override him with 2/3 in both houses.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah, and Look, we've got to fight. We've got to fight, John. I mean, there are a lot of things you kind of go into thinking, wow, how's that actually going to happen? But I think there's a kind of a duty-driven sense to this stuff and it lets the president know, as many Democrats as we can get on there. And look, I mean, there's an outside chance, there really is, that we could get 2/3, but it just puts pressure on him to bring to the attention of the nation, really, that this isn't right. I mean, this is not right. I mean, wrestle with Congress on something else. So look, John, the thing about it, and I didn't really understand this till I got up here, but you can't just continue things along with what you did the previous year. There are weapon systems that, there's so much guidance in the National Defense Authorization Act on how those things are handled, procurement, and that's Congress saying, here is the lane in which you can operate, executive branch, president, secretary of defense, and down through the service chiefs. Here's your lane. Here's what you can do. Here's what you can't do. Here's what you must do. And when we don't, that is the collective express will of the House of Representatives and the Senate, the American people, really. And so that got to his desk, and he said, well, even though it's the exact, it's at least what he wanted in terms of dollars, he didn't like the actual budget part of how we got the money there. And so, wow. I tell you, I was raised in the home of Ike Rigell, Iwo Jima Marine. When I talked to him this Sunday morning, I'm not sure how that conversation. We always talk about stuff every week, and really, it's just that kind of sense of what's right for the country here.
Right.
And it's just a bad decision on the president's part, and I don't think he put the defense of our country first. And I know that's a serious charge, but that's how I see it.
It's look. He's politicized just about everything out there, whether it's the Internal Revenue Service or coming clean on Benghazi. Everything this president has done is politicized to fit their narrative. And we just had Robert Hurt on earlier, and he said that we're going to pay a long, deep price for what this president has done, regardless of what other president comes in power, because they've taken now liberties with justice, defense, and everything else, and it's a scary situation. I want to get Congressman Rigell. We're with Congressman Scott Rigell, Republican, 2nd District, Virginia. That's the Virginia Beach and the Eastern Shore area. Congressman, you introduced a breathtaking, and I say that not lightly, a breathtaking bill called the America First Bill, which you introduced this Wednesday to basically undo 75% of sequestration defense cuts mandated by sequestration. It would raise $765 billion with a B in the next decade to restore the defense budget, and you're going to pay for that through entitlement reforms. Can you share with our audience the scope of your bill and what the concept is behind it, sir?
Right. Now, I'm going to do this as concisely as I can. Sequestration is a budget mechanism that forced rather severe constraints on the one-third part of our budget called the discretionary part. It includes defense and non-defense things. The rest of the budget, the two-thirds, is Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. So this is only focused on the one-third. There's complete agreement, John, that sequestration is hurting our country. And as a fiscal conservative, and I am, I will share with all listeners and everyone that it is not the one-third of our budget that's creating our problem. It is the two-thirds of our budget. And we've done a lot of work on the one-third, but very little, actually, nearly nothing on the two-thirds. It's despised, sequestration, that is despised by Republicans and Democrats. By Republicans principally because of defense, and Democrats on the other side principally. Everybody hates it, but no one, literally, John, to my knowledge, there's not another bill in Congress. And this, I wish that wasn't so. I wish there were 10 other bills that we could compare. But this bill, it took us literally months to craft, months to get through the legislative support services that actually draw up the legislative language. So much, in fact, that I went over there and thanked them at the Ford building for doing all of this. But basically what it does is it reverses 75% of the sequester, not all of it, because I don't think we need to reverse all of it. I'm a fiscal conservative. And it does that through a ratio of expense reduction on the mandatory side, that Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and also, and importantly, and I'll certainly talk about it on this conservative talk show, it has some revenue on it principally by capping deductions for higher income wage earners and something called chain CPI, Consumer Price Index. Now, the reason that I did all of this is because we're not in a good situation. Sequestration is hurting our country. It's hurting the federal government's ability to be efficient in, frankly, anything, any department, and every department is affected. Defense is affected. And look, we're Americans. This is self-inflicted pain. We have enough problems around the world without us flogging ourselves on the back with something like this out of just a failure to look at the numbers and do what's right. So I introduced the bill. It's getting picked up by a lot of folks. It was one of the lead right under the masthead of the Washington Post this weekend on Sunday. You know, they were very much in support of it. I don't know if this will lose any support in Hampton Roads, but the Virginia Pilot came out in strong support of it. And my colleagues are really taking a look at it, both sides of the House. We need to get something done. John, we're only about 9 legislative days. Let this sink in. We're about 9 full legislative days away from this continuing resolution expiring on December the 11th. 9. Now,
go ahead.
Look, we've got the debt limit to deal with. We've got a leadership election to deal with. And there's nothing on the table but this bill. Nothing. And I am not prone to hyperbole. I think you know that. I try to be really careful about what I share. Make sure that I don't overstate something to make a point. But, John, there's not another bill in Congress, not one. I really don't. I can't even wrap my mind around it. That we don't have credible alternatives out there to be debating. I almost wonder if our leadership this was the plan all along. I don't know. It's not a good situation. It's a good bill. I guarantee you, you look at it, you're going to find something you don't like in there. Every every adult who looks at that bill could say, well, I really don't. I would have done this. Sure, I get that. But somebody, I thought, look, we got to plant our flag on the ground and say, if sequestration is truly unacceptable and hurting our country, then daggone it, do something about it and quit talking about it and actually have a solution. And that's what this is. And I said, I wish there were more. I wish there were more. I wish there were 10 others.
Congressman, this is the only one out there, and like it or not, this is a solution to sequestration. And look, the best compromise is the one that everybody hates. That's the best one. When everybody hates it, that means it's going to work. And you might be onto something with this. But look, just to boil this down, all right? You're right. Everybody is complaining about the disaster that sequestration is, but not the intent. The intent was to bring spending down. The intent was to rein in spending because of the debt that we're driving. So basically what you've done is you've put an alternative debate on the table, which says let's increase defense spending from the cut levels in sequestration by $776 billion.
Over 10 years.
Over a 10-year period, which is going to be critical to getting our defense and military back to where it needs to be. But we're not going to just take on another $765 billion of debt. We're going to find that money somewhere else in various, and you've got several things from from raising, from limiting the deductions on people in the 39% tax bracket to limiting Medicaid.
The rate they were at a couple of years ago, really.
It's no different. $450 billion from Medicaid reforms, which includes a cap on premiums, generic drugs. So you've been able to pay for it with real dollars. This is not hocus pocus stuff. These are real dollars.
This is John. This is not a messaging bill, and by messaging, I mean it's not a bill that you introduce just to say, well, this is kind of my position on this, but you really don't think it has a chance to be passed.
Right.
Frankly, there's a time and a place for that. To put something down to say, look, I can't get done with exactly what I want to get done, but here's what it would be. No, this bill This bill was crafted intentionally to thread the needle. By that I mean that it reflects our fiscal reality. It reflects our strategic risk around the world and the need for a strong military. And it takes into account our political reality. That's, you got to deal with the political and the fiscal reality, and in this case, our military reality. And when you put those three things together and trying to get something that some Democrats could go, this is going to be a really tough vote. But guess what? That is the only path to get out of sequestration is for a lot of people, frankly, on both sides of the aisle to go, oh, this is a really tough vote. For the guys in the hard right, I was talking to a staff member the other day. I had some staff come over just to talk about some things from different offices, and he said, look, my boss is from an R25. An R25, the Republican has a natural 25-point advantage. For him to vote for something like this, John, candidly, that'd be a heavy lift, but it's going to take votes like that for him to go home and say, look, I know that you want me to saddle up with Grover Norquist and the pledge and not increase taxes $1, and as Grover likes to put it, starve the beast. Well, how's starving the beast working out for you? We're going to be at $20 trillion in debt in a year and a half or two, if we don't watch out, over $18 trillion right now. So and then my Democratic friends, and I got plenty of them, I'm trying to make more, but my Democratic friends are going to have to go home and say, look, I know that you don't want me to make $1 reforms and it's all the Republicans' fault, but good. Here's the facts. We've got to do this, and I'd ask for your support and have them actually walk through the information. The American people can handle the truth. They want the truth, and they want people to reach out and grab the other side and say, look, one way or the other, we're going to say that we are first and foremost fellow Americans, and we will do what is right for the next generation. Look, we cannot elevate a party, and I'm not saying this vote or my bill is the absolute pinnacle of this, and it's the pivot point. If you don't support my bill, then you're not this. No, I'm not saying that. I am not saying that. But at some point, some representative, some senator, some committee chair, something has got to give here, and we've got to get a solution to sequestration, because you just swing the radar every day as I open up my iPad and I swing my radar and reading all the publications, the newspapers and things. You're painfully reminded that this is a dangerous world. We need a strong economy, a strong military, and strong character in the American people, and we'll get through this. And we will. And we'll not only get through it, but we'll prosper. But we have got to find a way. We have got to find a way to find principled common ground. John, you've been so good to let me go on. I don't have a watch, and I'm not looking at one. I don't know how long I've been talking, but I feel very strongly about these issues.
Well,
I'm doing what I can.
I got about
435th.
I've got about a minute. You've been very passionate in articulating your position. It certainly makes sense. I would love for you to walk this down the hall to Bobby Scott, your colleague in the 3rd District, who loves to say you got to do the arithmetic. I'd love to get his take on it. But you hit on,
sure.
I would think he would look at this
He'll
favorably. He'll listen to what
we
he has
work
to
really
say.
well together. We work really well together.
We got to at least have the debate, and you just hit on something, and you said that American people are starving for the truth, and they really are. When you get out of the partisan nonsense,
that's right,
like the Benghazi hearings the other day, all that crap. When you get out of that, Americans just want you to tell them the truth, and then they'll help figure it out. That's why, quite frankly, Donald Trump is gaining to the extent he is. Because, like him or not, he's just telling it like it is. That's what you need to do.
I knew you'd weave that in there somewhere, John.
I got to do it. We got to go. We're out of time.
I understand. No problem.
He's going to be your nominee. So you got to, you know what? It's all good. Go to Rigell.house.gov. Scott, thanks for being with us.